Welcome to Fantastic Vision. Please subscribe us before you watch today's video. This time, the Netherlands has escalated the Nexperia incident, forcing it to find a way out and avoid further damage to Europe. According to reports, in the early morning hours of October 23, the Dutch Ministry of Economic Affairs released a statement of less than 300 words on its official website, which essentially set the tone for the Nexperia incident. The ministry's statement indicated that Nexperia would be given 6 weeks to provide additional documentation. The order to forcibly deprive it of its acquisition of Dutch chip company Noe, originally scheduled for November 1, would be suspended. This implies a shift in the previously assertive stance, with the situation shifting from a no chance for negotiation stance to a situation where both sides can engage in a new round of negotiations and consultations. It is understood that Dutch Minister of Economic Affairs, Countermove, played a crucial role in the Nexperia incident. Initially, the restrictive measures against Nexperia were initiated by the latter. After China imposed restrictions on Nexperia's Chinese subsidiaries' overseas shipments, European automakers immediately protested. By calling for a swift resolution to the supply chain issues, pressure quickly shifted to the Netherlands. On October 22, Chinese Minister of Commerce Wang Wentao spoke by phone with Dutch Minister of Economic Affairs, Countermove, at their request. During the call, the two sides held intensive discussions regarding the ownership of Nexperia. After the discussion, both sides issued statements, with China specifically addressing the Netherlands' sudden, politicized attempt to seize the Chinese-owned company, Nexperia, which undermines the security of the global supply chain. China called on the Netherlands to rein in its actions, move in the right direction, and work with China to uphold market discipline. The Dutch response, while seemingly irrelevant, clearly demonstrates the Netherlands' stance on the matter. In response to China's request, Dutch Minister of Economic Affairs, Countermove, stated that the Netherlands attaches great importance to the economic and trade relations between China and the Netherlands and is willing to engage in constructive discussions with China on the ownership of Nexperia. The implication is that after the initial call, the Netherlands did not achieve the desired outcome. Only official statements can ensure this incident progresses in the direction desired by the Netherlands. Constructive talks with China regarding the ownership of Nexperia. The practical implication of this statement is a reluctance to relinquish control of Nexperia. The current talk of negotiations is a forced measure taken in response to China's countermeasures. Had negotiations been pursued in the first place, this incident would not have occurred. It now appears that this incident will likely be resolved soon, primarily for 3 reasons. First, the supply chains of European automakers cannot afford to wait much longer. As a key supplier of parts to European automakers, any shortage or disruption to Nexperia's product supply would impact the operations of the European automotive industry. Compared to Nexperia alone, Europe's numerous automakers are the core pillars of the economy. Therefore, under pressure from European automakers, the relevant issues will be resolved or alleviated in the short term. The shortage of Nexperia chips and power components will not persist for a long time, and cannot continue to do so. Second, China's stance has laid the foundation for friendly negotiations between the two sides. At present, China has not deliberately targeted the Netherlands on these issues. This also indicates that while China's countermeasures are decisive, their impact is generally manageable and will not lead to further escalation. This is especially true after Minister Wang Wentao's phone call with the Dutch Minister of Economic Affairs. It's only a matter of time before the two sides sit down for talks. As mentioned at the beginning of this article, the Netherlands has given Nexperia time to prepare its documents and has temporarily suspended the implementation of the relevant freezing measures. This means that the companies have entered the negotiation process, and the state will likely not be required to intervene in the future. Third, the acquisition of Nexperia by Chinese company Wingtech Technology was carried out under Dutch supervision. Therefore, while nominally, the Chinese company's actual control is achieved through its own business structure and strength. If the Netherlands were to arbitrarily suppress such a large company, it would inevitably lead to a worsening of the business environment in the Netherlands and even trigger a larger chain reaction. Thus, the ultimate outcome of this matter is negotiation. The other party will not and dare not seize the high-quality overseas assets of Chinese companies without the outside world's knowledge. This incident is unprecedented internationally. Even neighboring India wouldn't immediately seize actual control of a company and deny legal channels for appeal. In summary, the Netherlands' deliberate suppression of Chinese companies is essentially a generalization of national security. It's very similar to the US's previous tactics of suppression and containment against China. First, companies are labeled as threatening national security, followed by a series of crackdowns and regulations, leaving Chinese companies overwhelmed and unable to cope. Ultimately, they secure desired market share or product technology from Chinese companies at extremely low prices. However, they seem to have overlooked the fact that China-EU relations differ from China-US relations. In terms of industrial depth and diversity, the Netherlands alone lacks the strength to compete with China. Therefore, after escalating the incident, the Netherlands must proactively seek negotiations with China to resolve the situation. The latest developments in this incident have precisely demonstrated this point. As foreign media have reported, the Nexperia incident is nearing its conclusion. The European auto industry can't afford to wait. Chinese manufacturers have already taken countermeasures. If restrictive measures continue, Dutch companies will only suffer further losses. What are your thoughts on this? Feel free to leave a comment and discuss.